Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be the Vampire Counts led by Subutai and Mannfred von Baldstein facing off against the dinosaurs who are going to be helmed by Bob That Builder here on the, I believe, Lost Temple of Sotek, which is a little bit of a home field advantage here for the dinosaurs. Now, for the lizard build in the front, it's going to be a very heavy infantry core. Oftentimes you do see skinks, but against, scarier factions like Vampire Counts with fear-causing infantry, a little bit more grindy style matchup, having these SARs certainly isn't bad. They'll be able to beat zombies and skeletons pretty badly. Graveguard do defeat them, but they hold and allow your big dinosaurs and magic users to do work. So that is going to be those bad boys. Now for the heavy hitters here of the dinosaurs, it's going to be some Dakheads. So we do have a Salamander hunting pack. Now these things are S tier against Vampire Counts if they can be protected, which is not easy against Fellbats and Scurvy Dogs. But if they're allowed to sit and shoot and use those like anti-large fire attacks against Cryptors, the Vampire Lords, Corpse Carts, Mortis engines, even against infantry, they have pretty good splash attacks. They can do some heavy lifting. Mazda Chungus, going to be on Zlak, very good at clearing out Graveguard. And we do also have a freaking Coatl. So the Coatl makes units underneath it invisible, so like at a distance you can't see these until they get close. And I mean, it is an armor-piercing monster with magic damage, so it does have some relevance and a couple bound spells that are decent against Vampire Counts. Now for Subutai, the old Vampire Count man, he is going to be here with zombies and skeletons, Corpse Carts, Cryptors, Double White King, extremely meta, and we do have the Conduxine Stalkers and another Corpse Guard on the far side. So yeah, very, very typical stuff, right? Mannfred on the Dragon, not bad. He's got Buna, which is very nice, and I love that tech from Subutai because it's going to be able to help counter Salamanders. But the Lizardmen player can respawn, and what you do is you use Shield of the Old Ones to give ward save during Buna, and then you cast Apotheosis, and you can usually save the unit from getting Karate Chop, but we're going to have to see how this all goes. Call-in for Bob That Builder is going to be the dreaded Ripperdactyls, the Colossodon Hunters, and it does look like an Arcane and Forging is going to be going down from Mazdamundi. So even though Mannfred is a very prolific and powerful magic user, in the Warhammer Fantasy universe, Mazdamundi's quite a bit stronger, if I'm not mistaken. So moving on up, here's the play I was talking about. We do see the Fate of Buna going down, which pretty much wrecks the Salamander hunting pack. 22 wins of magic, though, and with the Shield of the Old Ones as well as an Apotheosis, the unit is going to be stabilized, and they're not going to lose any models. So that would have been a one-shot Karate Chop, basically, but you saved the unit, which is quite good. Now, Mortis Engine being called in by Subutai in the back. A little bit vulnerable back here, but it's extremely risky to dive this. If you were to dive this like for a long period of time, for a short period of time it's okay because you know Subutai just spent all of his resources. But if you stay too long, like the Dire Pack can get called in, Mannfred can come back here, or maybe the Mortis Engine will just be left to the dogs. We'll have to see. So, mainline fighting, Saurus Warriors going to be clashing in the front, but we do see some scary White Kings. White Kings with their Scab Scrape abilities will be no joke. Mazdamundi going to help flatten down the infantry as well. And the Conduxine Stalkers, good for a skeleton unit, but the Saurus Warriors shouldn't have too much of a hard time dispatching them. Now on the backside, Mortis Engine is getting chewed up a little bit, but I think that Bob realizes it's probably not worth sitting back here with like so much of his army, because the Mortis Engine's about 1,400 gold. These guys are like 1,500, 1,600, and then the big Coatl is very expensive too. And yeah, just kind of keeping it away with the Colossodon Hunters isn't a terrible idea. I would have left probably the Coatl back there. So now we're going to be seeing a bound ability go down from the Coatl. He does have the bound Chain Lightning as well as another spell, which I forget. And he is able to cook some of those ghouls. So not bad. And look at the damage. Wow, that's pretty good. I mean, that's cost effective, right? Maybe there's a little bit of forbidden sauce with the Coatl. And that's what's so fun about Bob as a player. He plays like Mimi kind of builds from time to time, but like incorporates them into competitive kind of styles, which is very fun. So cool player to watch. But the grind continues, and grinding usually favors Vampire Counts, Conduxine Stalkers, although Lizardmen are a faction that can definitely grind with them if they bring the right tools, like Rev Crystals and, healing magic and some of the bombardments they do have. But we do see the Saurus Warriors remaining stalwart, Shield of the Old Ones active. The Saurus Warriors here having a little bit of trouble against the dreaded White Kings. And the White Kings are actually chasing Mazdamundi a little bit. Now in an open field, Mazdamundi wouldn't have too much of a problem dispatching White Kings. But when he's in like a blob and there's like Cryptors attacking him and all sorts of scary stuff, it can get very, very messy. Skeleton Spears, Corpse Guards providing buffs. The compounding effects of the Vampire Counts is very frightening. And now Subutai might be able to get a flank. Honestly, it would be a good play to bring Mannfred in here and maybe charge Lord Mazdamundi. He's heavily overextended, but looks like he's going to be doing battle with the Coatl. Not up in the sky, they're going to be having a dreaded humping battle down here on the ground, while the Mortis Engine is able to finally make its way over, so this is a big victory for the Vampire Counts. The Colossodon Hunters, that's what I was talking about, the danger of diving in the backfield like that when they can just call in reinforcements easily to protect it. It could be a little bit dodgy, right? Granted, there's not too many good targets for the Colossodons except maybe Mannfred right now. Now, Manfredo getting slapped by Mazdamundi a little bit. We have the nerd duel here. Mannfred getting hit by the Arcane and Forging, Shield of the Old Ones, generating big, big ward save for the dinosaurs. And yeah, that's really nice. The Arcane and Forging does a ton of damage and also adds cooldown. So what's cool about Alpha Striking with that spell against vampires is when you activate it, they can't use their healing abilities for like 20 or 30 seconds, which is quite good. All right, so objectives. Objective number 3 belongs to the dinosaurs. Objective number 1 as well, and the home objective here belongs to the vampire counts. And there is a unit of Saurus though, and Saurus will defeat Crypticools. Crypticools trade okay into them, but Saurus warriors still have 60 armor and hit very, very hard. So these stinky little golems are going to get cudgeled in the face and potentially lose the home objective if Subutai doesn't reinforce. But it looks like he does. He's got Black Knights coming in. Black Knights are a good counter against those units. So back in the dreaded blob fight here, we do have the Mortis engine draining, and this is the Subutai special here. He loves his Mortis engines. And yeah, it's going to be grinding pretty damn good. Currently, we look at the damage value on this thing. It's about 900, so it's almost paid for itself. Mazda Money could probably turn and go after it. Saurus Warriors still fighting, and uh-oh, look at this on the other side. Mannfred, between the Arcanine Forgings as well as the Coatl, Mannfred's kind of been getting his butt kicked a little bit. Looking at the points, Bob is currently up about 551 against 307. Still a lot of game to be played here, ladies and gentlemen. But the Black Knights get into the Saurus Warriors, but it looks like there were some remnants of Coatl Spear Riders, which will be a pretty hard counter against Black Knights, actually. They have a ton of armor, anti-large, armor-piercing. Black Knights are not good against big targets. They're anti-infantry. They lack AP, so you guys get the idea. Interesting fight, though. We'll keep an eye on things here. And back over to the epicenter of combat. The Mortis engine continues to drain, but Mazdamundi's still running shit over and doing some work. Cohort of Sotek called in. Those are the unbreakable little gremlins, and they do have the refuse to die ability. So yeah, they're pretty nice for the situation, you know, giving you some staying power. Mazdamundi going to be dropping a big bombardment right here, it looks like, or maybe the Coatl is. I'm not sure what bound abilities were used. Yeah, it looks like that was the lightning ability coming in from the Coatl. So yeah, honestly, I'm curious to see its value. Coatl sitting at about 1,000 value. Not bad. Still has a lot of fight left in it. Magic damage is relevant in this matchup. Mannfred, though, getting very, very low. Colossus on Hunters trying to get back up in this guy to get him, or the basic Riperdactyls, but it seems like they're caught on the ground. Some of the zombies are like grabbing their little legs. Now back over here, we do see the fight actually emerging victorious for the dinosaurs. So the Saurus and the Coatl Spear Riders, like we talked about, were able to counter their respective enemies here. But this objective is starting to flip to the vampire counts a little bit. We do see Mazdamundi having a very, very good fight against Mannfred, but you know, it's kind of the classic, like, you know, he's winning his fight, but the rest of his army lost their fight. And that is very much, you know, pretty common against vampire counts with their AoE drain and the White Kings and the Scab's great. They can do quite a bit of work. So Mazda-Chungus is actually shaken despite being kind of healthy at 5,000 HP. There are a couple Saurus Warriors still fighting on the objective, but the Lizardmen are definitely going to need to reinforce here. So they're going to be calling in chaff units, which is a good idea. If you have like a big centerpiece carry unit and you want to, you know, buffer them, provide chaff. That's usually a very, very good thing to do in this game. Indication of Neck going to be activated on Mannfred. That's going to heal him up to almost his healing cap. So the dreaded Vampire Lord is going to be approaching the point where he's not going to be able to get heals anymore. So he will, you know, it will be as you see him. Over here on the backside, Lizardman trying to threaten this objective. A nice play by Subutai calling in the Karen Race, because there's no magic damage readily available over here. So the Karen Race actually, oh, I don't know if I like this. I think that Subutai needs to stay on this objective. Turn the Karen Race around, you know, karate chop these Saurus Warriors, make sure that objective doesn't flip. And yeah, he's going to do that right now. Looks like he's like hugging the outside of the objective, trying to sneak around the outside and get on the Salamanders, which is a good play. More Cryptors being called in. Value trading does favor Bob, but with healing, it's probably a little bit ahead for the vampire counts, all things considered. Nice Javelin fire. We do get the cohorts. Unfortunately, though, they're shooting into zombies and White Kings. All that cohort ammunition should have been used on the Mortis engine. There is potentially an opportunity where you could have killed that. We do also see a White King in open field. This is a good opportunity for Mazdamundi to really run this guy over. But it looks like he's going to be zeroing into the Mortis engine, which also isn't a bad play, calling in the cohort of Sotek to apply poison. And he does get a really good charge on the side here, so 2,200 HP. And yeah, getting a Mortis engine kill here would be pretty massive and certainly open up some late game opportunities for Bob. Big old tusks are coming in. The HP not negative yet in terms of leadership, still hanging in there like a champion, but it is now wavering. -7, it's going to start crumbling. Now, Mazdamundi does have access to a net, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't think he brought that ability, so no. The Mortis engine is going to be cackling away. Classic Vampire Count shenanigans. In the meantime, on the other side, we do see the Vampire Counts actually push back the Lizards, and now some Karen Race are going to be jumping on Objective 1. Now, that's a tricky one, right? Because Mazdamundi could come over and handle them. Probably the best play would be to get the Coatl and maybe send the Coatl after it, but there are Cryptors, which are a good counter against the Coatl. So that becomes a very tricky, tough-to-remove position for the dinosaurs, right? So dinosaurs drop pretty heavily on points. 914 against 635. But even still, the vampire counts are going to be securing some objectives right now. This one is going to be going most likely to the vampire counts. This objective is stabilized by the vampire counts as well. And over here, we do see that objective number 3 is owned by the count. So they're going to be getting those triple victory tickets, which is going to be kind of eliminating the situation in which Bob would actually be able to win with just one objective. Dinosaurs calling in Popcorn Riders, and Lord Mazdamundi's very, very low. We do get some heavy cavalry coming in from the vampire counts as well. It is going to be the Black Knights, and Mazda-Chungus at 7 leadership. You better get some cold blood, man. Coatl fighting against Mannfred. Coatl does not have the best melee attack right now. Going to be sitting at 23, so certainly going to be struggling to connect with the Vampire Lord, who's sitting at 51 melee defense. Shield of the Old Ones, they're holding! And can they grind the vampire counts back off the objective? Man, grinding with vampires is rough. The Mortis engines and the corpse cards just give such good sustain. Mortis at 3,100 value. Mannfred still battling it out versus Coatl. Looks like he hasn't really been hit, maybe hit once. He is at his healing cap right now, and the Coatl's going to be getting broken. -5 leadership, and Mazdamundi also going to be getting broken as well, potentially. So are the Lizards going to be able to come back from this? I don't know. It's looking really, really dodgy. So on the backside objective, we do see the Cold on Spear Riders being called, and they will be a good answer against Cryptors, especially if they get the fire support from the Umbral Tide. So Bob going to be setting up the Umbral Tide here. Salamander's going to be unleashing a Hellish Salvo, and that's going to be a big value win. Those Cryptors are going to get folded really badly, and you can immediately see their leadership's -27. They do take 22% more damage from fire attacks, and of course that's what Salamanders do. Dealing with the Karen race is going to be tough, but I don't know, man. I think that Subutai may have clutched the game over here, getting a big crushing victory, taking down Mazdamundi. And, you know, a big thing is, like, maybe, you know, if those javelins that we were looking at earlier had used their ammunition on the Mortis engine, for example, Mazdamundi probably would have gotten the kill there. That would have changed the entire dynamic of the fight. But having the Mortis engine just draining and cackling with 4,000 value on all your Saurus and infantry, I think was a little bit too much. So there is any chance for a comeback for Bob. I mean, Subutai could throw this. It'd be very difficult. The only way he could really throw it is if he lets Mannfred and the Mortis engine die to the Colossadon Hunters. Mazdamundi is destroyed, is he? No, he's actually just shattered, so basically the same difference. He's going to be running off the battlefield right now. It just takes a little bit longer for the leadership penalty to apply in that case. Colossadon Hunters are circling their prey. We're going to do a little bit of fast forwarding here, but I suspect that Bob has probably cooked this game. The Vampire Counts were able to squeak away with some nice micro and some good decision making and get the dub. So that actually was the grand finals of a tournament, so congrats to Subutai for the nice win there. And well played to Bob. Really fun to see the Coatl action. It was a close game. It was. I just think that Bob probably needed to find a way to get that Mortis engine out of the picture earlier. And dude, he had Mannfred at like 10%. He had the Mortis engine at like 10%. So many close calls, but you know, no finishes there. It's just like in Warcraft, for example. I've been experiencing this when you coil Nova like a Demon Hunter. He gets away with like 1 HP and comes back with full health. You're like, no, it's basically the same thing here. All right, guys. GG, well played. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. And let's look at the value a little bit. 3,500 on Manfredo. Mortis engine was the other big carry. Mazdamundi sitting at 34, and the rest of the army, no huge performers. Decent, but nothing crazy. All right, guys. See you around. That's it for tonight.